Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US indices for Tuesday, March the 8th. Now, we want to have a look at the intraday, we want to have a look at the bigger picture, and we want to have a look at the a bigger bearish picture as well. So, as you know, the 38.2% retracement level that we've been looking for was at 4,100, so we're there. Is it possible to have this as wave 1 and 2 here? Yeah, it's possible, but we would need to see the market bounce off the 4,200 here and make its way higher at that point. Now, we know that some of the stocks that we're shorting, like Apple and Amazon and so on, they've kind of got the same pattern here, and some of them are leading to the downside and some of them are following to the downside. Now, some of those could turn back up as well at this point, so we'll see, but we need them to push up. If the 4,200 becomes the resistance, well, then we know that we're going to be going further to the downside. In terms of going further to the downside, we can look at different ways of doing that and still staying within wave 4 to a point, like a move like this here, counting 5 waves down here. So in this case, we would be looking for wave 1 here, and then coming back for wave 2 at this point, and so on, and working lower in that. So yeah, it would be coming down into sort of well, obviously there's going to be support at this level here, but with this here as well, it's also possible for it to also get a bit larger as well and have a 3-wave move down here, because we're working in lots of 3 waves here. We can also have this as 5 waves here, 3 waves here, and then 5 waves here as well. You with me? So this wave 4 would come over here for this as the Y over here for this. So that's really what it's doing at that point. But my issue with that is that we're moving down from the 61.8%, sorry, the 38.2% at 4,100 here, and this would be the 50% retracement, and this here at the 38 here would be the 61.8% retracement for a wave 4. So yeah, I don't think so. So we need to revisit this, and we have been revisiting it. So just going back to the daily charts here for this. So this is one count that we've had with this. The other more logical count, a better fit count, would be having it like this, but in this instance here, as I mentioned, we can put you know, that could be the WXY at that point, but if we're going to expand it out at this point, then I'll just move this over to here. We've talked about this a little bit before, so we would see this move down through here, have a bounce off these lows down here, and have this as a 3-wave move coming into play here. But once again, we're coming down really a bit too low at this point, so that's a little bit of a concern for me. So that means that we really need to, you know, reassess the whole trend to the upside. So I've shown this before, and this is basically putting the 5-wave structure from the COVID lows. Another thing I want to talk about as well, you see how this is on the 21, 22 and 23 of March here, which is the equinox, which is basically the end of an accounting cycle as well. So we're also in March here as well. So I'm thinking that one of the lows that we could look for over here is March 21, 22, 23 for the low in this particular move here. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to point out, which I have been pointing out in the stock video and probably in the indice video as well, is that this 3-wave move down through here, this low here in the banking sector has been breached. So it was one of the first to be breached, and then we're starting to see indices like the DAX be under further pressure, and yeah, so there's and also stocks as well. We've been shorting some stocks, and they're sort of testing lower now as well in some of those. So like the banks were the first to go to take out that low there. So what we've done with the banks is just looking at a bigger picture. This is Morgan's here, so the 2008 GFC, we're looking at this slightly different, and I can look at the S&P like this as well, with wave 1 here and 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, expanded flat 4 and up for 5. So basically with the banks we can have the 5-wave structure already completed in here, and in this case here the 38.2% retracement level is a little bit lower in this space here, so I can fit the S&P count into this. So this is one way of looking at the market moving lower. There are other ways that we can look at this as well. So we can look at we can look at this from the GFC days here. So I can move this count around as 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 here, and then 3, 4, 5, and then we end up with a wave 4 over here like the banks. Now that 38.2% retracement level would come into this box here, but also too, if we looked at this as 5 waves up here, as wave 1 here and 2 here, and then wave 1 and 2 here, would be in the same boat here as well for this. So there's different ways to look at it, and the stochastic for the monthly here is, you know, given a pretty clear sort of signal from the top here, and it's still expanding out. Sure, they're lagging and so on, but even the time that this sort of, you know, tops and turns, even if it came down to these ones here, it would still come lower down into the 3-8 sort of area at minimum. So anyway, we're going to continue to work on this count. We've either got that, or we've got wave 4 here, and this wave 5 sitting here would be on the top here, and then that's the top of the whole thing at that point, and we come crashing down much lower within all of this. So that's the other option. So we've got 2 or 4, and different markets we can look at things doing different things here. A lot of the stocks we can look at in wave 4s, like we have done, like we're doing with the banks in that regard. Some of the newer stocks, that high-tech stocks that are coming on the market, that we would look as wave 2 lows here, like Square, for example, and yeah, anyway, that kind of thing. So there's different ways to look at it. I know that's not very sort of helpful, but it's always just one step at a time. So just to recap here, we can have a wave 4 here, and then wave 5 top in play here, or we can be looking at a wave 2 and wave 4 pullback in here. The move down here right from the get-go does appear a little bit corrective, so that's a good thing. So we'll just keep working on that. So just coming back to the daily chart after going for that sort of weird trip around the place. This little move here, you know that on some of the stocks we are shorting this move down through here. So we just need to investigate this now in terms of it being a wave 1 and 2 at this point. Let's just go to the intraday, as we have been doing on the, I think it's 2000 here for this. So I just want to point out where we are within this space here, because we're kind of right at the last sort of bastion of this being a wave 2 here. So from the low here, we can count it up as 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave. That's all good. And then we've got wave 1 here. We've been looking at this as an A wave here with an A and a B and a C wave here. It doesn't count very well on the cash market here as a B wave. It's on the cash market, it's got 5 waves moving up here, so that's a bit of an issue. Yeah, so then the move down here, so it's a little bit sort of complicated, but wave 1 here and 2 here, then 1 and 2 and 3, and A and a B and a C for 4 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave, and then the ABC for the fourth, and then coming down for the fifth. So and it's also, this is the 61.8%, which is not the end of the world, but if the 2 becomes the retested resistance here, then we're likely to see the market to be pulled down, because normally when we talk about the trading levels, when we're looking at a large number here, then group 1, 1, 2 and 3 here that make up group 1, if the market's traded up here and then comes down and finds the number 2 as the retested resistance, well then it's pulled down to the 4,000 at that time. and that's what we're banking on with the share market. And then we would need to simply look at this pattern to the upside, as we also have been doing on various charts, and we just looked at that on the 4-hour chart. We can go back to that if you like, but an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave to this point, and then we would need to look at this as a 5-wave structure to the downside. It's possible to look at this as wave 1 here, a bit of a long shot really on that, and wave 2 here, but otherwise we would need to look at this low here as wave 1 and wave 2 here. So in the next session we're going to have a pretty good idea of where we're at with this particular market. It's a little bit tricky to count the 5 waves down here, but let's just give it a session and we'll know where we are, and we'll pick it up from there. So that's the story at this stage. So you know, as I mentioned, the banks have taken out this low here. I reckon the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq will do that, and all the others will do that as well. But I think it's important to, you know, allow this wave 1 here, an A and a B and a C here for wave 2. But I think it's a little bit thin on the ground because we're seeing stocks move down, and well, the banks were first, then I saw the DAX, and well, the banks were first, then I noticed some stocks weren't sort of shaping up right, so we shorted those and they're doing well, and then I see the DAX doing, you know, being quite weak, and yeah, and I think it will follow through to this as well. So this is really at its last sort of legs here for this. Sometimes we look at the 78.6, the square root of, I need to take it also from the top of wave 1 and not that top there, which will take us down to this point here. So the 4172 area here, 4170. Yeah, so if that became the retested resistance, then we'll be down further from this point. So this could be a third wave, just, you know, just continuing to move lower at this point, but we're coming into the end of the session, but we'll see how that sort of plays out. But it certainly looking that it needs to come down further. It's hard to count it as 5 waves because normally I just look at this as wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, but the wave 3 here is too small at this point, so there's something else going on here as 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and 5. So if I was looking at this, I'd still see that we've got something like this to go before that finishes off in there, at least, you know. So looking at the other markets, the Nasdaq is the same here as well. I can look at it moving much lower through here. This is, as you can see from this low to this high here. First of all, this line through here, that's the 38.2% retracement. That's where the wave 4 should be at this point in here, and we could take it down to the 50, but down to here, nah, you know, we've got to start looking at it a little bit differently in this, but even this here will have a slight variation on it as well here, so there's a bit more, there's more to come in all of this, and it's going to be complicated. And there's going to be pretty bouncy across 13 and so on and so on, but having this as wave 1 up here and back for wave 2 here is you know, from seeing the DAX move lower and all those sorts of things that we talked about yesterday and Friday and that, well then it's you know, it's sort of not the case. So we need to look at a different wave 4. We need to look at this differently here for all of this, but this moves down to here. Obviously it's going to bounce off that 13,000, but let's just go to the tick chart here and look at this also. So once again, you know, I can see that, and I've checked it on the cash market. If we look at this as 1 and then an A and a B up here, then I need to look at this as 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the third wave, fourth wave and fifth wave here. But it's coming down too far past this here, you know. It's more likely that I mean, I'd like to put wave 1 and 2 in here, but I think that I think it's going to be slightly differently. I think even coming down this distance here, we'll have to probably look at it with wave A here and wave B over here for this, and then wave C further down for this. But even that will come down further on this one here probably. So looking at 5 waves down, so I'll just simply end up changing this to 1 and 2 in here and building that case, you know, for further downside. So as a wave 2 here, that's pretty much out of the race at this point, because even so I can see that this here would be wave 1 and 2, and then we've got this building in here of 1 and 2 and 3. So it's, you know, it's coming down here further for a bounce off the 13,000 in this case. So yeah, so an A and a B, 5 waves down here, and then a B wave, and then a C wave to go further down as well. So we'll be looking further down for that. And it'll be the same for the Dow Jones as well, even though it's held up quite nicely here as a wave 1 and then the A, the B and the C. But as I said, on the cash market, we don't really get an A, B, C here on the cash market. We really just get a 5-wave structure here. Well, certainly on the S&P anyway. I haven't given this too much sort of thought, but I mean, a wave 2 is good right to the last point down here, really. But you know, that's a very rare case. So basically we need to look at this here as the A, the B and the C wave here, and then also we'll be looking at this down here as the A wave, the B wave and a C wave further down at this point. So we'll be coming down lower in all of this, and this will be the same for the Russell as well. In its moves here, so the A wave, the B wave and the C wave here, and we'll have to look at this coming down here, maybe even wave 1, but I mean the wave 2 is not completely finished in all of this, so but it's not looking good, you know. So yeah, so the whole market just gets a little bit more complicated, that's all. But yeah, as I mentioned yesterday, the pressure is to the downside, and that's why we're shorting stock, and the indices are sort of getting there as well for this. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down here somewhere, and then we'll see an ABC back up into this space, and then another 5 waves down at that point. So a bit more work to do on all of these, but yeah, that's it. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.